Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode here on this beautiful Monday evening. Of course, it's fixing to start turning grim outside. We're supposed to get some rain tonight. I know that we've been out of doing podcasts for a minute, but we've had a lot of things going on, and I wanted to take a break for a minute to get kind of caught up on a few other things. But I'm back this evening, and I've got something that I've been thinking about, and I wanted to really come out here and talk about it today. And it's really a video, it's really a podcast for anybody that's my age, that's younger, especially for kids that's in high school right now, you're fixing to graduate, and you may not have a clue what on earth it is that you want to do for a living. You've had people, no doubt your parents, your grandparents, friends of your family asking, what's something that you would like to go into. And for the most part, some people, they know, they kind of have an idea. They know what they like. They know their hobbies and something they would like to turn in a hobby into a job or a career. And then there's you sitting there looking around like, I don't know. I guess I could go into the military. I guess I might try a trade school. My daddy was a this or my grandpa was that. So I guess I'll go into that or try something. And you really just don't have a clue. And it is stressing you out. And I know it's stressing you out because I was once there in that position myself. I know what it's like to just walk around wondering what's the next thing coming around the hill. What's the next thing over the hill? What is the next big obstacle, the next big challenge that I have to overcome in order to make it somewhere in life? And I don't want to waste a lot of time doing something that I'm not going to like. So how do I go about not wasting time? And I'm going to tell you this little personal story of mine to try to help you feel a little bit better about yourself if you are confused and you don't know what you want to do with your life. When I was in ninth grade, I had the idea that I was going to be a music producer. I wanted to go to Full Sail University in Florida. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and she was telling me I ought to try going to Belmont in Tennessee. I have an uncle that lives up that way. And he does music, he does gigs. I've always played guitar since I was 13. I've always liked working in recording studios and the whole thing about it and making music and whatnot. So I said I'd like to go into that. Then I started fooling around a little bit with doing video editing stuff. And then I said, well, maybe I could broaden that range into multimedia productions and things like that. Maybe I could work in movies one day. And that was the goal when I was in ninth, getting into the first half of 10th grade. About middle ways through 10th grade, a big stir happened in my life. And in short, my mom and dad and I had to move to a new community, and they basically were starting over in the middle of their life. My mom and dad encouraged me when I was in school, even though this was going on with them, they encouraged me to play sports, they encouraged me to do things, and they still encourage me, if I have dreams, to go after them. It was never a thing about, you can't do this because me and your mom are in this situation right now. But in my heart, I felt the need to take care of my mom and dad because after losing my brother, after losing my grandfather, my aunt was right in the middle of battling breast cancer, and there was so much going on. I felt like they were the only part of security I had left in my life at the time, and that I had to protect them however I could. So I helped them. And that was what I chose. All throughout the rest of high school, I was working with my mom and dad, helping them get their business off the ground. And then I graduated. Before graduation, I said, I'm going to tone it down a little bit, all this moving off and chasing these dreams and, making commercials and movies and all that stuff. Reality started to sink in. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep it local. I'm going to make sure I'm here around mom and dad in case they ever need me. But my dad encouraged me and pushed me out the nest. They both did. They pushed me. They told me, they said, we need you to go out into the world and make your own thing. You need to make a name for yourself. You're going to find it. It's coming. Have a little bit of patience, work hard, and you'll get it. And so when I was in school, I said, you know what, I'll be a police officer. I wanted to go into the Air Force and work in the K-9 division. I seen videos on YouTube. I went on the Air Force website, and there was a buddy of mine who worked for UPS. And he told me that I ought to give UPS a try. I said, you're young, you're graduating. be lucky to have you. You got good benefits. And it was a great benefits, great job. So I went and I applied for them. Didn't hear nothing. And I was literally 2 days away. My mom and dad both knew it was coming because I had done put my foot down and said, you know what? I can't sit around and wait on this stuff forever. The whole summer's gone after I've done graduated. I've got to get my foot going somewhere in some door. So this is the route I'm going to take. 2 days before I was planning on talking to a recruiter for the Air Force, I got a phone call from UPS and they said that they had hired me and wanted me to start part-time preload, which was loading the trucks in the morning. And throughout Christmas, which was their heaviest part of the year, they would have me on trucks after that working with drivers. And you could work your way up in the company. You could become a driver, which I did. You could go into management, which I did. All of it was part-time over the span of 4 years. I loved that job. I loved the people that I worked with. But I started dreading what I was doing. And I didn't feel like I was accomplishing much of my life. The thing about me is that at the end of the day, no matter what I do, I guess it's because of how my father raised us growing up. When we pressure washed the house, when we cut the grass, we was always supposed to be able to look back over the day and see what we accomplished. And so that is driven into me to be able to look back at the end of the day and feel some type of accomplishment for myself that I made something happen throughout that day. I love my days off whenever I sit around and don't do anything. But I've noticed on those days, at the end of the day, I feel horrible. Because I feel like I haven't accomplished or gotten anything done. And that's just in my spirit. So, this was all before I got close with God. I wasn't praying to God. Wasn't really trying to go to church. Didn't really care for it. I had got baptized with mom and dad, and I played music at churches and whatnot, but there was no real, true relationship with God before that. And this part-time job working at UPS, trying to work other places, make a little bit extra money, I still had no money to get out on my own, which was a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid. I was still driving the same truck that I've had ever since high school, which if you look today, right now, it's sitting under a carport and I'm still driving it today. I didn't feel like I was going to ever meet anybody doing this. I didn't feel like I was going to really go anywhere. And if I did, I was going to end up dreading it for the rest of my life, going to work every day. And that's why when I tell people what I do now, they look at me and they say, why did you leave UPS? UPS is good money, it's good benefits, and that's true. But I did not want to be unhappy. So a little word of advice out there, don't go into anything chasing money. Don't go into something because you heard that it makes the best money. Go into something because it's what you like, it's what you enjoy. You see what your talent that you've been given by God can bring to that field and how you can make it yours and be satisfied every day in your life. And I hit my knees one day because I had a talk with my dad, and this is a true story right here. I hit my knees talking with my dad after I talked with my dad in his office, and I told him I wanted to do this and that, and I just didn't have the money to do so. I had been killing myself in just this low-pay, no-hour job, and I felt like I had done everything I possibly could. I had went to driving school. I had become a supervisor. I did everything everybody told me to do. I had worked hard. I had sacrificed for this, and I was tired of sacrificing and not getting anywhere in life. But little did I know that God was working some big things in my life. He was getting me ready for the job that I was supposed to have. The problem was that I just couldn't see it. And I know that you're probably out there listening right now, and the problem is that you just can't see it. Everybody's telling you the same thing. I know. I heard it over and over and over. They tell you that's life. They tell you welcome to the real world. They tell you have a little bit of patience, have a little bit of faith. It's all going to work out. When it's the right time, it will happen. And even though those are good notions, and although people do it out of the goodness of their heart to try to perk you up and make you feel better, At the end of the day, you still sit there staring up at the ceiling, trying your best to fall asleep and wondering when. When is this ever going to happen? When is this ever going to take off? And Lord forbid if you're like me and you're feeling like you aren't accomplishing anything in your life. That's what I was staring up at the ceiling wondering. What am I accomplishing here? And UPS is full of a lot of great people. We depend on them whenever we need our packages delivered and sent. But at the end of the day, even though I was doing that and I was a part of that for 4 years, I still just didn't feel accomplished. And you can't see it. You cannot see your destiny. You can't until it is revealed one day. Some of us get lucky and it's revealed very early on in our life. Some of us much later on. Mine was revealed to me at the age of 24. After I got through having a talk with my dad. Only me and him were in this conversation. Afterwards, I went over to his old office, old part of the building, where nobody was, and I got down in one of the corners of that office, and I remember crying, and I did. I hadn't cried since my brother died, and that was the day the tears finally started flowing again. And it was my choice at that moment to ask God to come into my life and do something because I had had enough. Had I had resentment against God for what was taking place in my life, or choosing not to talk to him and bring him into my life, it may have went a different way. I believe that it probably would have went a different way. But because I made the choice to put trust in him, and because I believed that he needed me to go through that, he needed me to learn what it's like to crave something so bad so that I would really appreciate it one day. I needed to crave my wife so that I would appreciate her one day. I needed to crave a better job so that I would appreciate it one day. And after I prayed to him and I got through, stood up, a few days later, a man who used to work for Coca-Cola came walking in my daddy's office and told him that they were fixing to start hiring and if he knew anybody that needed a job. I knew absolutely nothing about 18-wheelers, knew nothing about the company, the product, other than I had just drunk too many of them growing up. But I remember looking up when I got the call from my dad. It just so happens that the guy I communicated my problems and wanted to find something better in life, the only person I had talked to was the vessel that God was working through to deliver the news to me. It just so happened. My mom wasn't in there that day. Had I told her about it and Daddy didn't know nothing about it, he probably wouldn't have said nothing. But the guy comes walking in and talks to my dad, and my dad picks up the phone and calls me and tells me of the opportunity. And I just remember looking up in my parents' backyard and saying, I have no idea where this is going, but I asked for some sign, I asked for some miracle, and I'm going to believe that this is it. And they told me, said, go get you a permit, CDL, Class A. And once you've done that, you can come apply. We'll give you an interview and see if you get the job. And I threw all my cards at this. When you want something so bad, you'll go after it. I went and got a test booklet. I learned everything under the radar about 18-wheelers. I studied it back and forth. And then I went and took my test and passed. After I took my pass, first thing I did was I called the guy and told him, said, I've got my permit. And he called them. They set up an interview, went and talked to them. And then the next day, they called me and said that they were going to offer me the job. When could I start? I gave UPS a 2 weeks notice. Told everybody that I had come to love as family and know. And I started the next part of my life. And I was stepping out of a comfort zone, something that I knew or had known ever since high school ended. And I had to completely start over with a new family, a new job, new area, new atmosphere, and I had to learn all over again. But it was one of the best things that I ever did. I, honest to God, love working for this company. And there's probably some people out there, if you may have worked for this company or a company similar or something, you probably don't understand why I tell you that I love this company. Some of the guys that work with me honestly look at me sometimes and they wonder why. Why does somebody like working and doing this for a living? Why? And it's because I come from nothing. It's because the only thing that I had at the time that I started with Coke was the dirt that I was walking on. I had my mom, my dad. I had more than most people have and that I should be eternally grateful for. But I still had just about nothing. And in the course of just a few months working there, I was able to finally get a new vehicle. After working there, I met my girlfriend, which then turned into my fiance, which is now my wife. That's all my wife has ever known me as, is the Coke guy. And then I started climbing, moving up. And today, at the end of every day, I feel so accomplished looking back. I was walking around frantic, didn't know what I was going to do with my life, had no clue. I felt so mad, so upset, because I remember my mom telling me all the time, you need to go to school and learn, you need to try to get a good job, you need to try to get a good education. I don't want to see you out here working and doing this. But in the end, that was what God had prepared for me. That's what He has led me to now. Now, who's to say that this chapter won't close on where I work now one day? But it's where He's led me for now. And that's where I will work. And I'll be happy at the end of every day that I'm doing so. If you would have told me that I'd have been doing this back when I was in 9th grade, wanting to be a music producer, I'd have laughed in your face and said, there's no way I'm doing that. I wasn't ready for it then. Of course, I didn't land into it. God is not going to bring you to your destiny way before you're ready. He's just not going to. He's going to hold that from you, hide that from you. And you sit there every night wondering, what is it? What is your destiny? What are you going to do? What is your purpose? And God is saying, I can't show you yet. I can't. I want you happy no matter what. I don't want you stressed out and anxious about this anymore. Just know, just trust me that I've got something big in store for you. And I did. And ever since then, as I've been able to look back over the course, what was my first day, my first week, my first month, my first year, turned into even more. And I look back and I say, God, I see now why. I see now why when I was young, you had me staying with my grandparents who got up at 2 a.m. in the morning to go milk cows. I see now why we were getting up so early on the weekends to work. I see now why we were getting up so early to go to school. You were preparing me for this all along. And before my mom and dad had to start off with their new business, I hardly knew work at all, to be completely honest with you. We just did random chores around the house. But when I started having to help my mom and dad get their business off the ground, it was a total game changer. I had to level up. I had to mature just about overnight. I am a completely different person than I was in 9th grade. Trust me. And not even to say daylight and dark. But God was still preparing me when I wasn't ready for when I would be ready. I just couldn't see it at the time. But now I do. My boss was actually standing at the back of my trailer the other morning last week. And I posted this story on Facebook talking about the different angles we see things in life and how God sees everything with His angle, where He's looking at it. And our trailers have these lift gates on the back of them that we let out to load our jacks and product. And he told me that morning, he said, I need to put something on your truck. And I was walking towards the front of it, and it was parked in front of another truck. And from where I was standing at with the angle, I looked at my boss. I said, hang on, I'm going to move up some so we can let the lift gate out, because I didn't want to let it out and it smacked the front of the other truck. And he told me he was standing at the back of the trailer. And he looked at me. He said, you don't need any more room. He said, you got plenty of it. And I said, there's no way, because from where I'm standing, it looks like my trailer back is right on top of the other truck. And he said, trust me, you've got enough room. So I got out of the truck, walked to the back, just having a feeling that I was going to have to turn around and go move the truck anyway. And he was right. There was more than enough room. But the angle from where I was standing at, it looked like I didn't have enough. And the angle he was at, he saw everything, the big picture. And we do that in life a lot. Everything is based off of the angle that you're looking at it. The angle you're looking at probably shows you that you don't have enough. The angle that you're looking at probably tells you that you need to move up some, or you need to back up some. It never shows you that you've got everything that you need. You just need to trust a little bit. And I trusted his guidance and found out that I had more than enough, and I didn't have to move at all. And we got to do that with God sometimes. Matter of fact, we got to do that with God all the time. Not sometimes, all the time. You just got to have faith, and we got to trust him. So tonight, as you go to bed, or if it's in the morning whenever you listen to this, middle of the day on your break, I know that you've probably been through some things. And I know that you probably look at your life and you think it's not the way that you envision it. Maybe it's about time you had a heart-to-heart talk with God like I did. And let me tell you something. When I had that heart-to-heart with God, it was the most sincere prayer I've ever had in my life. I had prayed for my aunt to get over breast cancer. I had prayed for my mom and dad. I had prayed for this and that. That was the most sincere prayer I ever had in my life. I don't think I ever cried. There was a puddle underneath me whenever I stood up because I had cried so much. That was a sincere heart-to-heart. I love you, God, but I need you now more than ever. And right now, some of y'all have got to have that talk with God. But I just couldn't see where he was leading me in life. Little did I know he was leading me to my destiny. And I'm fine with that being my destiny. Look, I have done so much ever since I got this job. I was able to build a house. Me and my wife got married. I was able to get her a nice car. You know what? I'm happy with this destiny. I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be popular. I don't need clout. I don't need all that stuff. I like doing this, talking with you guys, hoping it gets something through to you. And I wake up every day enjoying going to work. I enjoy my life. I'm so grateful for my house when I pull up to it in the evening. My mom, my dad are still alive. They're still doing well. I mean, honestly, what more can you ask for? I am perfectly fine with this destiny. And I thank God every day for it. So, to close this one out, I'm hoping and I'm praying that you, the person listening to this tonight, wherever you are, whoever you are, how much money's in the bank or isn't in the bank, I hope and I pray for you that you have found your niche in life, your destiny. And if you haven't, I hope and pray that you find it quickly. I hope and pray that God delivers you to it. And I hope and pray that when he does, you'll look back and be able to understand why he hid it from you when he did. I love you guys, and I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to have a good conversation with God, and I want you to bring him into your life and let him start working with you on some things. As always, this has been your good friend Justin. And remember, just because you can't see it where you're standing at doesn't mean that there isn't a big promise in the end. You're merely in the process. The process is not a permanent address. It's only what you go through to get to the promise. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode.